Welcome to the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast, where being a badass has less to do with what you wear and what music you listen to, and everything to do with whether you've got the thriving online business of your dreams. I'm your renegade thinking Harvard Law grad turned online entrepreneur host, Bobby Klink. In my years building my thriving business, the most important lesson I've learned is that being a badass online marketer isn't about secret strategies or ninja tactics. It's about doing the basic stuff right and showing the F up. So each week here on the show, you'll get clear, easy to execute guidance on how to build your online business and a swift kick in the ass or two to make sure you're getting it done. Hey there, welcome to another live Friday edition of the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Klink, and I'm excited for today because it's been a few weeks since I've done a live Friday episode, and I've been missing them. We had some things going on. I had a planning week. We had a couple of things where just because of scheduling, I needed to take Fridays off, so I couldn't come and do these Friday lives, and I missed it, and I hope you did too. And I'm also excited because today I'm going to start a conversation that is an important conversation, a conversation that we need to be having and that more people need to be thinking about. Specifically, I'm going to talk about why you need to start building a business that is tailored to your particular strengths. Now, you've heard me rant and rave about gurus a number of times, and also about how I don't like that there are people out there telling you that you have to build a business like theirs. And I want to make something clear. If at times it sounds like I'm saying that my way of building a business is the only way, I want you to understand I'm not saying that. And I want you to give me a swift kick in the ass if I need it. Because what I want to be very clear on is you should not be building a business like mine. You should not be building a business like any other person out there. You should be building a business that is built for you. And a business that is built just for you. That should be the thing that you are focusing on. Now, before I dive into the why, we are actually going to be putting on a live event. It's going to be virtual because of the whole COVID thing, stupid COVID bothering us. But we're going to be putting on a virtual live event, a 3-day event late in the fall. And so if you might like to hear more about me talking about building the right business for you, how to kind of pick the right product suite, build out a product suite, and also, though, how to kind of build effortless sales so that you don't have to fight to get people into your world or, to buy from you, you might be interested in this event. We're calling it Badass Online Marketing Live because what else would we call it? So you can go ahead. Right now, doors aren't open. You can't get tickets or anything like that, but we do have a wait list set up. If this sounds like something you'd like to do, head over to my wait list. My wait list is at bobbyklink.com/bomb live, BOM live. So again, bobbyklink.com/bomb live. You can get onto the wait list for our event. And as soon as we start making tickets available, you'll hear about it. So head over and do that. Now with that, I want to dive in to the topic of what we're talking about today. And I'm starting this conversation now, and I want you to understand I'm going to be talking about it a lot more in the coming months because it's something that I believe is critically important for online entrepreneurs. Like, we need to stop trying to copy other people. I see it so much, and, that is not a recipe for success. And kind of what brought this up, I talk about that concept a lot, but I'm going to kind of foreshadow some of the stuff you're going to be hearing more about. One of the members of my mastermind group, like that I run, is a Gallup certified Clifton Strengths Finders test or Strengths Finders coach. I'm probably saying that not quite right, but you get the point. It's the Gallup Strengths Finders test. And we actually hired her to come in and work with my team to assess our strengths. And it's partly about each one of us understanding our strengths, and also in our case, figuring out where we are kind of and how we work together and understanding communication styles and all of those things. It has been incredibly insightful for us as a team. We just kind of wrapped up the process. We did a call as a group with her yesterday after doing individual calls and individual coaching and all of that. And we could just see some amazing things and some amazing insights, like why it is that like Katie, my integrator, and I, like we get on these calls and I'm having ideas left, right, and center. And I'm coming up with ideas and strategies and big picture. And she's able, because of her strengths, they match with mine so well that she's able to say, okay, Bobby has this idea. Here's how we'll execute it. And so she's able to kind of take that piece and my high level strategy ideas and bring it down to an executable level. Kind of a good match, right? If you think about it. So we started to see those things, but we also saw Bobby Joe, who you guys are interacting with more and more, is a born community manager. I mean, literally her strengths, are so strong in the areas of relationship building, community building, those kinds of things, that it was awesome. So as a team, I was very happy that it looks like, I do have a dream team. And I've been saying that for a long time, partly because everyone is in their right role. But separate from that, and if you're not yet at a team, I don't want you thinking that this is only about team building. What this is really about is figuring out what you, as the visionary head of your brand, should be building. And before I talk a little bit more about this, there's this example that I talk about all the time, which is I will hear people who tell me that like connecting with their audience and like kind of interacting with people in a Facebook group and doing any kind of that stuff, the stuff that I kind of love doing and you've gotten a sense that I like doing, they really don't like it. It drains them. And there's nothing right or wrong about that. For some people, like me, I get life. I mean, it is life-giving to me to interact with people in my Facebook groups and my communities, on Zoom calls, all of that. But there are people who don't. And yet they've started a membership site. Now, I'm not saying that a membership site necessarily has to involve you interacting with your people. I mean, there are membership sites, of course, that are all about just access to like a deliverable. But these people have set up membership sites that require them to actually be in a Facebook group, interacting with their people, and they feel drained all the time. And I just ask a simple question. If interacting with your people is draining to you, why on God's green earth did you decide to create a membership site where that's an important part of the deliverables? And if those people would adjust kind of their particular type of business model, maybe it's because they want to should create a course instead. Maybe it's because they need to restructure the membership so interacting with them is not part of it. Maybe it's they find coaches who that's what they want to do, but knowing that you are drained by interacting with people on social media, you really should not create a business that requires you to do that. And that's like the classic example I give. But what has been interesting and what's been intriguing is that as I've done this process and worked with the member of my mastermind program, and by the way, her name is Anna Nelson, Anna Y. Nelson. I think her website is AnnaYNelson.com. We'll check that and put it in the show notes for sure. But she, working with her and doing the Clifton Strengths, and it was kind of funny because I had taken these things, I'd taken these assessments way back. I think I first took the Strengths Finders when I took B School, like more than 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And I kind of took it and I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. And then I threw it on a shelf and didn't think about it. So I took it again as we were going into this coaching process. And the truly amazing thing is, like, Clifton, they have like 4 big areas. There's strategic thinking, influencing, relationship building, and executing. And when you looked at my strengths, my top 10 especially, I am strong in really 2 places. Influencing, which is basically communicating, talking, doing those kinds of things, bringing people around to your point of view, and strategic thinking. And when you think about that fact, and you look at my business, you say, well, no wonder Bobby loves his business every single day. Because if you think about what I do in my business, I work with people about strategy because, my mastermind group is about strategy. I'm doing that inside the Fans First Society is strategy. I'm doing all of that stuff, right? That is all strategy. But on top of that, what is the thing that I'm kind of known for most in the business space? Email marketing, which guess what? Is all about influencing. It's all about communication. It's all about those things. But also when you look at communication, my skill set says that I like to talk. Well, you kind of already knew that, right? I mean, that's why I have a podcast. That's why I do it. And it was this interesting thing. When I was working with Anna, I had this discussion, where I said something like, and I don't remember how it came up, but I almost said it as like, well, I was getting the cause and effect wrong. Like between if my life as a lawyer, because my life as a lawyer was about communicating, standing up, et cetera. And, I said something like, I honed my skills there or something like that. And Anna said, well, did you ever think that maybe you chose that path because it's one of your strengths? And I looked at it, I was like, holy moly, she is absolutely right. I mean, I have chosen a path in my life based upon my strengths. Now, another thing that my team will laugh about, or does laugh about, I'm sure, and that other people will as well. One of my top 5 strengths is self-assurance, which basically means, I'm pretty sure I'm right most all of the time. Now, I actually am pretty sure I'm right, but I'm also someone who's willing to have my mind changed, and I'm open to ideas, etc. But that's another thing when you look at what I talk about. For example, my guru rants, like most people are like, well, I wouldn't say that someone who's making more than me like isn't necessarily doing it right. I'm like, if I think it's wrong, I'm going to call it out. And I have the self-assurance to believe, hey, if I believe this to be true, I'm going to, put my stake in the ground and I'm going to say, I believe what they're teaching you is wrong. So again, it's another small example of me living my strengths day in and day out. And I wanted to start this conversation with you because I don't know, obviously, what your strengths are as you're listening or if you're here with me live. I have no idea what your strengths are because, I haven't seen it. But what I'm going to encourage you to do is when you start thinking about these things, I want you to not be one of those people who simply says, oh, I'm going to take the Enneagram, or I'm going to take the DISC assessment, or I'm going to take the Myers-Briggs, or I'm going to take the Strengths Finders, and then takes it and puts it on a shelf. The point of these assessments is not just to learn things, it's to assess things and then make decisions based on it and figure things out. And so, for example, another thing that my team, we kind of had this realization, yesterday as we were on this group team, that like 4 of my 5 like lowest strengths, like because you rank them on these Strengths Finders 1 to 34, have to do with executing. And it's not about getting things done so much, but it's like follow through and and continuing to like, iterate and do things like that. And we all kind of laughed about it because I'm the classic squirrel, what's going on here? What's happening there? And knowing that is hugely important because number one, now knowing that I can think, okay, I need to keep that in mind, but also I need to build a team that will help keep me on track, right? And so that's another piece of it. At every step in your entrepreneurial journey, knowing your strengths, knowing your personality type, knowing what lights you up is huge. Because what I'll tell you is when you're starting out, if you build a business on your strengths, if you choose the social media sites, you really kind of, invest in based upon your particular strengths and what you're going to enjoy. If you pick your product type based on those, and if you really focus doing that, you're going to have a much, better chance to really kind of have some huge forward momentum early on. So that's early on. But then as you start to get that momentum, an important thing to be thinking about is you need to be saying, okay, I like my strengths, but here are my weaknesses. And the best way I can deal with that isn't necessarily for me to get better at it. Yes, we need to know our weaknesses and be aware of them. But as you grow your business, you need to say, okay, here's my weaknesses. I better go out and find someone who can help me in that place. Like if analytics is something you're not good at, great. If strategic thinking, like as an overall area, is not something you're great at, well, then you need to get yourself a coach or in a mastermind or in a coaching program where there are people who will help you with the strategic thinking piece. So all of this, you can kind of see how as you're building your business at every single phase, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, and knowing like your personality types is a huge, huge thing for you to actually build the business of your dreams. And it is the thing that we so often miss. We so often think we have to do it all, but doing this, taking this one little step, can let you feel like you're playing with your friends every day of your life, which is what I feel like in my business because I'm living in my strengths. So my call to action to you today, no matter what assessments you want to take, etc., know yourself, build your business around your strengths, and find ways to kind of hire out or get help with the things that you're not good at. If you do that, you will be on course to having the badass online business of your dreams. That's it for today. I'll see you again next Tuesday. That's it for this episode of the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast. Make sure to tune in next time. And in the meantime, go out and build the badass business of your dreams.